All right, we're going to finish off with some interview tips as well.
There's lots of advice on the internet on how to answer different interview questions, and you can get practice interview questions for every field out there, right? Um, so you should be able to do lots of research and get lots of advice from YouTube videos and all sorts of things. The particular questions that especially are, look, these are the questions which are super hard because it's very hard to find advice on how to answer these. So we really want to tackle these questions in this session because you can do a search for how to answer these, not necessarily going to find anything out there. Whereas those more generic questions about dealing with difficult stakeholders or what's your experience in this particular area, you can find lots of advice on that using the STAR structure, etc. Let's just tackle with these very particular tricky questions. So do you have PR? Naren's going to type up the answer, actually.
Look, you may have PR, you may be a citizen, I'm not sure. But a lot of you here might be on 485 visa. You might be on a student visa. You could be on like a dependent visa. The main thing is, number one, don't panic. A lot of people panic with this visa question, and then you'll start talking about your subclass this, you're speaking to your migration agent about that. Cut all that out and just remain calm and say, sure, well, I'm on a, I'm just going to use this example for a 485 person. Let's say you've got 18 months left on your visa. It's a standard sort of case that we deal with. Well, I'm on a full-time, well, I would just say, well, I have full-time work rights, okay, valid till done, okay, or you can actually, if it's 18 months, you can probably get away and say, I have 18 months of full-time work rights, valid till that. However, I'm in the process of getting my PR and I'm expecting to get it soon. That's it. Okay. So that's the sort of model answer you should give. Don't give anything more, don't give anything less. Okay, it's up to them to say, oh, okay, well, have you got your invitation? How many points? They're not going to ask that. Okay. So there's two things that are going to happen. If they want someone with PR or citizenship, this is only for recruiters. Some companies are a bit annoying like this as well. So if that's a mandatory requirement, they're going to say, oh, sorry, this is PR only. Okay. And I don't really buy that because they've called you and they like your application. So I think you should go back to them with an email to explain, or they will say, oh, okay, no worries. Okay. The interesting thing is this, guys, more and more companies we speak to, they are less concerned about the visa. As long as you have at least 18 months, they will give you a job offer if you are an exceptionally good candidate. You've got the skills, your English is good, you've got a good attitude, and you've got a bit of experience. So that's how you should answer this visa question. If you have concerns or you think there's a different way, feel free to use the Q&A box. But always talk about that. Now, if you've got 6 months left of your visa, I wouldn't say I've got 6 months left. Okay? You can say, sure, well, I'm on a temporary full-time work visa, excuse my typing, which is valid for another 6 months. However, keep this same thing. However, I'm in the process of getting PR, even if you're not. Okay? Because your goal, you're not going to tell lies. I mean, it's a little bit of a funny lie, but your main objective is for them to give you an offer. Okay? Because the companies, if you get in there and you perform better than any other employee, these companies, they may not sponsor you, but there are things called training visas. Okay? And I know a couple of companies that are doing these training visas. I think it gives 4 years. Okay, and it doesn't cost the company too much either. Very easy. Okay, I know some of you asked about sponsorship. So that's the way you should handle that one. Do you have any local experience? Now, they should know that you don't if they've looked at your CV. Okay. Or they may ask you, tell us about your industry experience, and you don't have any. Similar thing, you've got to deflect it and say, sure, well, my main areas, so let's say they say, tell us about your experience. Sure, well, my key areas, or my key skills are in 1, 2, 3, 4, which I have developed through my master's and by doing X, Y, Z certification. Okay. As I'm a recent master's graduate, I don't have a lot of industry experience. However, I have completed industry projects, Okay. So that's the best way. You've still got to demonstrate to them your skills, knowledge, experience from uni in that. That's the worst case. If you know, so that's if you have zero experience. Now, if you've done an internship, then you replace that with, sure, well, my skills are in this, which I developed through my most recent internship. But remember what I said earlier, you're not going to mention internship unless you have to. So, which I've developed through my most recent, you can say my most recent role with as a marketing assistant. Okay. As a rule of thumb, your answers to behavioral technical questions aim for 120 seconds. If you can't speak on a topic for at least 60 seconds, your answer's weak. Okay? Look up the STAR method: situation, task, what action, and the result. Okay? If you use the STAR method, you will fill 60 to a minute, 2 minutes.
The main one in there is the actions. You've got to really talk to them about what you've done.
Need an example. Always in your answer, weave that in. For example, in my master's, in my role at If you haven't done an internship, or you haven't got any experience, maybe you talk about like a difficult customer from your retail experience and so forth. Okay. So these are some of the common questions. If you have any other tricky interview questions, please put into the Q&A and we'll be able to talk you through it. So those are sort of the key questions that you're likely to get. You will get questions about, tell us about your key strengths. Why do you want this job? What are you currently doing? That's another one. Another common question is, what are you currently doing? You must have a compelling answer to this one. You can't say, oh, not much, I'm just applying for jobs. No. Okay. Currently, I am upskilling in 1, 2, 3, 4. And I am actively looking for roles in Okay. And that's how I came across this position. Okay. It looks like a terrific match to my experience, skills, knowledge, whatever, in A, B, C, D from the job ad. And I'm very keen to learn more about the opportunity. Okay. So that's another question. Weakness question, you can Google that. There's heaps of good answers there. But if you have any specific interview questions you're worried about, please use the Q&A. So we're getting towards the end of the session, but hopefully that's given you a little taste of a couple of things. Number one, what a good resume looks like. Number two, how to use LinkedIn effectively to find jobs in the hidden market. and to just contact companies in regional areas or wherever. Okay. And then number 3, some basic interview stuff. So, you know, we could spend hours upon hours on each of these modules, but we just wanted to give you a bit of an overview as to how this whole thing works. But we're going to open it up for some Q&A. So the easiest way to do this is to post your question in the Q&A box, and we'll just talk you through the answer. Every case is different. So I know some of you may be on a short-term visa, some of you may be overseas. If you have specific questions, the easiest thing is to shoot us an email, okay, with your inquiry, and one of us will get back to you with some advice on how we can help. If you do want to speak to one of us directly, there's a few steps you can follow. You can just do our online assessment, follow us on social media, or easy is also just find Langdon or me on LinkedIn, and we can help. Or you can search for a couple of our other colleagues, Katie or Pearl. I think Katie has sent out an email today. But that's sort of the easiest way. Best is maybe just shoot us an email. So that's it from us, guys. We're happy to answer some questions if there are any.
We've actually answered 30 questions already, Naren, between us as the session's been running. So multitasking.
Yep, thank you, Langdon.
Yeah.
We're gonna be here for about 5-10 minutes. So if anyone would like us to show any other tips on LinkedIn or a resume, please use the chat box and say, hey, how did you do that on LinkedIn? Or maybe just say, look, I'm looking for a job in, I don't know, in Gold Coast or in Bendigo. Can you show me how to do it?
Someone's asked, will we get the recording video for this session, please?
Yes, this is being recorded, so we'll definitely send it out.
So those of you who've just broken your hand taking notes, like frantically scribbling down information, probably going, oh, wish I'd known that at the start, but never mind, sorry.
Okay, we've got one question from Sandy. I'm looking for a job in disability or aged care from India. How you help? So a couple of questions, a couple of points. And number one is step number one with migration stuff, speak to a migration agent first. Okay. There's no point you emailing 100 disability aged care centers when you don't know what sort of, you need to almost guide them. They'll probably know, but you need to guide them and say, I'm looking for this, these are my skills and qualifications and experience, and I'm available to be in Melbourne in 3 weeks. This is the sort of visa I need. But your migration agent, that's one. Number two, there are special companies that you can engage with to organize like a package sponsorship. Okay, but things have changed a lot because of the coronavirus. But if you don't have a valid visa to work and come here, then step one, don't just speak to one migration agent, speak to 5, because some of them will tell you different things and then you need to piece all the info together. So definitely migration agent is your first step. Aaron, yes, we have said the recording will provide that. Any other questions?
Okay, I'll just read out the ones that are there in the Q&A. So is there any page limit in a resume for junior positions? Look, 3 pages we think should be absolute maximum for, unless you're super experienced. If you don't have a lot of experience, you should be able to get most of the crucial information on probably 2 pages. And it's better to send 2 really strong, customized pages that they can look through and see lots of examples of the keywords than sending something that's got lots and lots of detail in it, a lot of which is irrelevant. So I'd be looking to cut out as much of the stuff which doesn't really correspond to the job you're applying for, and make sure that it's really packed with the keywords that they're in the job ad.
Yeah. Can you see the resume on the screen, Langdon?
Yes, we can.
A couple of quick tips, guys. Leave off things like your date of birth, hobbies, get rid of that stuff. Another quick tip, I don't know, Langdon, if you mentioned this, but sometimes having adopting an Anglo name, first name, can increase your chances. Okay. it's a bit of a funny topic, and I don't necessarily like encouraging people to do this. You should be sort of proud of your name, but there's a lot of research that says resumes, cover letters, and job applications that show an Anglo-sounding name get further ahead. And I'll just give you an example as to what I'm talking about. Let's say there's a job that's being advertised and there's 4 applicants. There's Michael Smith. Let's say it's for a finance manager. Michael Smith. There's Lucy. There's me. There's Hong Z. And there's Muhammad Sharif. So finance manager job. And let's say this company is in the requirements. They want PR, citizens. And it's a client-facing role. So English is key. 5 applicants. Now, the recruiter is probably going to scan through this and go, okay, these are my requirements. Out of these 4, it's pretty obvious who the Anglo people are, isn't it? So automatically, these 3, including myself, we're put into the probably, they may not be local guys, okay, which is really unfair, okay? Because Muhammad could be born and bred here, like me. He could have better English than Michael. He could have more Australian experience than Michael, but sometimes that happens. Okay, so you don't change your last name. That's going too far. But sometimes you would just go Aaron. Okay, or Rohan, Rod. It's very silly, but hey, if it gets you to the to an interview because your resume is not knocked out, then it's worth it. Couple of other points. Now, when you finally get to an interview and and they go, hey, we want to offer you the job, show us your proof of residency and your passport, my passport actually says, so Aaron Chalapa, his passport says Narendra Chalapa, that's my full name. And they're going to go, whoa, what's going on here, mister? You're not Aaron. And that's when I say, look, that is correct, but obviously that's my photo in my passport, but Aaron's my sort of English name, and that's completely fine. Okay. Now, some of our clients at that point, they'll actually say, look, I would actually prefer on my swipe card, my email, to go back to Narendra, please. Okay. And that's completely fine. It's a bit confusing, but it doesn't matter. There's been a lot of research, crazy amount of research. African-American names, they get a big red flag. Hispanic names in America, okay? Big red flag. It's a lot of interesting research done on just names. So just something very minor for you guys to think about. Okay, any other questions, Langdon?
Does an Anglo name should be used for LinkedIn profile as well? So definitely, Kurt said yes. If you are using that in your documents, in your applications, it must be everywhere. It has to be on your LinkedIn profile, has to be wherever you are having any contact with a potential employer. And that also means if you get a phone call from an unidentified number, you have to get, let's say it's Kevin, like as Naren's typing there, you have to get used to seeing an unidentified number. It's coming up. It could be a recruiter phoning about that job that I applied for last week. You're going to answer the phone call. Hi, Kevin speaking. Because if they've seen this application from Kevin, and then you answer Kershid, and they're going to get confused and think they might just go, "Oh, sorry, wrong number, hang up."
Yeah.
Right? So if you take on an Anglo name, if you decide to go in that path, it's a difficult decision. Then you've got to be consistent with all your documents, including you have to have an email address. You can't use Kershid295 as your email address, right? Do a customized email address on Gmail, Kevin something or other, right? Email address, LinkedIn profile. Don't forget your LinkedIn URL as well. That needs to change. We'll go right through it everywhere so that there's no confusion for them. What recruiters get scared by is any sort of like something that looks like it might be a bit dodgy or a bit confusing. It's just easier for them to just reject you and go on to the next person because they've got 80 other people who might be the right person. So don't give them any excuse to reject your application because there's something weird about your name. Hang on, this is one name here, another name there. Yeah, so keep it consistent.
But, you know, there are many cases. This guy comes to my mind, Tapan. He's an old client of ours. And he's doing what I just did there. Nice guy, Todd. So his real name is Tapan, and he had some issues with this. I should say something nice to him, but you can see that he's done that. So he goes as Todd, and he's had some awesome jobs over the past. We've worked with him. We got him a job at PwC. And now he's got a very cushy job there, but you can see how he's doing it there. But now that Tapan has quite a lot of local experience, I might actually tell him now, hey, get rid of this Todd nonsense, stick to Tapan. Okay, it's just at the early stages of getting a job here. I don't like doing it, but hey, if it gives you a 5-10% chance of getting through to the interview stage, it's worthwhile considering.